Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 15th edition of Stags in the Studio for the 2024-2025 academic calendar year. I'm Andrew Jamison, the sports director here at WF 88.5 FM, and switching things up today with some club sports spotlight. More specifically, the rugby program here at Fairfield University, led by director and head men's coach Austin Wright, who unfortunately couldn't be here today. However, we've got a representative from both the men's and women's teams I'd like to introduce. First, on the men's side, a senior all 4-year member of the rugby program, Giunta, and junior Kate Robertson from the women's side. So, guys, thank you for coming to our studio.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Andrew.
Yeah, no worries. So I just want to kind of get spotlight as someone who's unfamiliar with rugby, and what drew you to this program, both of you?
Chris, I guess I'll start. As someone that was also unfamiliar with rugby as of 3 years ago, it's a crazy sport to get into. So I went to the club fair looking for soccer. I still went to soccer, but the rugby ball was kind of thrown at my head by one of the, at the time, sophomores. And she said, like, you can catch a ball, you can play. And I, for some reason, showed up the next day with my soccer cleats to the rugby field. And, you know, I fell in love with the team, the rules, and just the girls. Rugby is something that I've never experienced, just almost bonding-wise with your teammates. We really form a family. I know for the women's team it's very true. For the men's team, I definitely see the same thing. You really do just form such a great group of people. And so I stuck around, and we're 3 years in and haven't looked back. So, yeah, it's a great program.
And going off of that, any experience, high school sports? You mentioned soccer. Did you ever see yourself at all going into rugby, or it was just something that came out of nowhere?
I'm from Long Island, and I don't know if it's a thing that's like just sheltered from that part of the world. But my high school, I went to a very small school. We really didn't even have that much grass space, so we only had soccer and track. There was not much other. There were no options. There was no hockey. There was really nothing. So rugby was not even a vocab word that existed in my brain. So coming here and seeing it took me a long time to know any of the rules. I'm still very confused, but I could have never imagined I would be playing. My parents were shocked and so scared, but it's been a great time. I mean, it's one of those fun facts I love to tell people, and it looks cool having an interesting sport.
Chris, I know you're a little bit different. We were talking pre-show, you kind of have a familiarity, so if you just want to dive deep into your path to finding the program.
Yeah, so, on the men's side, we recruit very heavily at a high school. So I played 3 years in high school myself, got recruited to play here, and I think my class had like 15, 20 kids that were recruited directly out of high school. So we also do the club fair. We try to get some kids that never played before but have potential to come out and see what they have. But yeah, we mainly recruit out of high school, and that's how I found the program, and ultimately, decided to come here for that.
And how does the recruitment process go? I know club sports, there are tryouts for a lot of sports, like, club baseball, basketball, and rugby's, I think, a little bit different. We were talking about, the roster sizes, them being very huge. So if you guys both don't mind, shedding light on that whole process.
So for the women's team to date, we've only actually had 2 recruits. I know one going into our first one. She's coming out of Fairfield High School. I think she's from Ward or Ludlow. Mm-hmm. She basically just discussed with our director of rugby, Austin, and, she expressed interest in Fairfield, made a commitment, I would love to play on the women's rugby team when I came. And, we kind of just said, you're a great player, have good academics, we would love to have you on our team. She had to get in all the same, but then she comes to our preseason. She'll warm up with the team, get an early introduction to kind of the whole team, all the players, and then just join a little bit earlier than all the rest of the freshmen that'll come for the club fair. Our other recruit, she had never played before but found Austin at the club fair. She had no rugby experience, nothing like that, but just expressed interest in wanting to come to the preseason, wanting to, get a week in of extra learning. And so she was our second recruit, not really a real recruit. She had no idea about the sport, but both have been great additions to the team. And I think the recruiting process we're definitely looking to do more of, but it's really just a good way to kind of get those players that you already know will kind of have a solid foundation of rugby knowledge. So then your team can be even, I guess, stronger. So for the women's team, obviously training players is something we always do because I personally didn't have any experience. But if you start with a foundation that already knows what they're doing, now you're only going to be better and better. So
And I guess either for the men's or women's side, like Chris, obviously I know you were recruited, but how have you seen the recruitment process, kind of evolve as you guys are both upperclassmen now?
Right. So all across the country, they hold these rugby combines for high schoolers, and we'll send representatives. So Austin and a few of our players will go, and all these high schoolers go. They show what they have, and then we kind of recruit directly from those combines. So we get a lot of kids. Like that's how I was recruited. I went to a combine, met with Oki, who was the previous director of rugby, and then they recruited me directly from there. So that's where we try to get a lot of our talent from those combines directly.
As individuals, how have you seen your games evolve? Like, I don't know like the advanced metrics, like specifically. I do know that a try is worth 5 points and you do kick it for 2, but like individual games, like I guess like in game, how have you seen like your play styles evolve?
Yeah, so my experience, high school is very different from college, right? So everyone's bigger, everyone's stronger, everyone's faster. A lot of the individual skills are done on your own. So we kind of expect the players to have those skills and develop those skills outside of practice. So when they come to practice, we can kind of develop and, bring everyone together as one unit. So as far as developing skills, you have to do that on your own, and it's a totally different game from high school to college, at least, from our perspective.
yeah, I would agree. I think, it's a lot of individual work, and then realizing like you find a position maybe that suits you, and realizing like there's certain, skills that you need to be like. I know Chris kicks. I've been kicking a little more this season just because there's a need. Our kicker got injured. So realizing like, all right, I'm going to be a kicker. I need to practice on my own time and really like figure out how to do this under pressure when there's people coming at me. So kind of having the determination to go out on your own and do it, because it is a club sport, but it's like you're putting a lot of effort into it, maybe beyond the normal club sport. So I think that's also what makes the rugby program unique. You have a lot of players that have a little bit more, I think, motivation to enhance their skills in the club sport rather than just be a participant. Everyone's looking to get better and evolve, not just be, getting a participation medal at the end of it. And I think for me personally, a big thing was since my freshman year, I've noticed skills, yes, because I didn't have any skills. I didn't know how to play rugby. So, like, obviously I've grown in that sense, but confidence on the field and I think off. Just, like, there are larger people since high school. I know we play some teams that just everyone looks like we play Coast Guard, and it's like they can all do 3,000 push-ups, and it's like, okay, I cannot compare to that in any way. But having confidence in my own abilities and also my teammates, knowing that we practice well, we work hard, and then being able to translate and, go out in the field with confidence in myself, knowing I can do this. It's going to be hard, but I can get through it. I think that's a big shift that I've had since freshman year, just kind of being able to have a smile and energy and being like, all right, ready to go face another day, and I will be back in class tomorrow, all good. So,
Yeah. And how do you guys, use your experiences when you were underclassmen to kind of, instill that confidence that you guys have today into, these incoming freshmen and even sophomores or juniors, seniors who maybe are in the program for the first year? Because, as you mentioned, there are not a tryout process, and you do want to recruit as many people as possible and instill confidence in each and every player, no matter how many or what experience they have.
Right. Yeah. So as a freshman, I remember I was very shy. I came in, but I was fortunate enough to start, so they expected me to perform. Right. So when I look to these underclassmen, I want to take them under my wing, give them confidence, because at the end of the day, we rely on them to perform. So, it's definitely a confidence thing. When you're coming into a new environment, you're definitely a little shy, a little nervous when you're going against these bigger guys. But if you can rely on your upperclassmen and older teammates to give you that confidence and trust in you, then I think that makes the process a lot easier.
Kate, how about you?
I definitely agree. I think we do, as upperclassmen, we definitely put some weight on the freshmen. They're coming in, they, maybe have a big head, a big ego. They're coming from like a high school state winning soccer team. They're like, I'm ready to go, put me on the field. So they come out and, we do have higher expectations. But I think being like that person that they can lean on, not just on the field, but even off, they're navigating roommates, they're navigating being in a triple. They don't know where to go for dinner. Like just kind of being able to offer advice, drive them around if they need anything, and just like on and off the field, off the rugby pitch, just being able to be helpful. I think that helps to just kind of keep them involved with the team. It is a big time commitment. I know both of our teams practice, at least 4-5 times a week. Then we'll have games on the weekend, and usually the game is pretty much just an all-day affair. So it's a big time commitment, and for a freshman, that's a lot. It's very overwhelming in general. So I think the biggest thing is just being able to be just a source of support for a freshman, and that keeps them involved because now not only are you like an upperclassman, but you're also a friend that might give them class recommendations. So now you're like an asset that they need in the future, and so it's a good thing for a freshman to have kind of friends to help them, I guess, with the path.
You mentioned the difficulties as a freshman. You're like, balancing like academics with like, workload, because in a lot of college athletics, these highly recruited freshmen, they are, in all sports, so whether it's club or NCAA Division I, like, there are huge expectations for a lot of things. So I'm kind of curious, from your guys' perspective, what does a typical practice week look like? Let's say last Saturday to today.
Right. So just to walk you through the week a little bit, we were off on Saturday. We typically play every Saturday, but we took a week off because we're kind of preparing to our lead up to nationals. So Sunday was another off day, let the bodies recover a little bit. Monday, we're out on the field. It's a full practice. We did a little contact. That's kind of our hard-hitting day from 5 to 7. And then Tuesday, we have a lift 6 to 7 o'clock. That's in Walsh. So they do a little bit of everything, kind of a full body movement lift. Wednesday is also another lift. And then we do some speed work as well. So we'll go out in the field from 5 to 6, and then 6 to 7 we'll do a lift in the Walsh. And then going into Thursday will be kind of like a cleanup day. So we'll go over our plays. Won't be as hard as Monday, but we're still going to run through some drills and do a little conditioning, stuff like that. And then Friday is just the off day leading up to the game. So we want to give everyone a rest. Everyone needs to hydrate, get the bodies right for leading up to Saturday. And tomorrow we'll obviously get into it in the tournament. Yeah,
Kate, I know we were talking before we went on, 7 to 9 practice this morning. Has it been like that every day this week?
A little bit. This year we've had some field scheduling things, so we've had a couple morning practices, but an energy drink and a power bar, and you get through it. For us, we had a game on this past Sunday. We went up to Siena for the Tri-State Championship. We got second place, which was awesome. Then the usual week will be we'll have off on Mondays just because our games are typically Sundays, so like you definitely want that next rest day. Practicing would probably be just a pain for everyone. So then Tuesday we were back at the field 5 to 7. We have 2 hours contact, non-contact, kind of a mixed bag depending on how people feel. And then Wednesday we do the speed work like the men do. We do about 30 minutes with the trainer from Walsh, which is really awesome. We'll also have lift earlier in the day. And then we'll do the usual like hour and a half practice of just, a lot of different skills. We'll play kind of just a scrimmage style touch, which is just like 7 people versus another 7 people. You kind of just do a mock game, but usually try not to tackle anyone. And then on Thursday, we'll just do a lift. And then Friday, we were out there this morning, 7 to 9. So everyone's a little tired, but now you get the night off, so it's not so bad.
Yeah, but, again, like both of you guys, we see it again, such rigorous schedules. And, this is for a college student who's typically taking, 5 classes, maybe even some extracurriculars thrown in there. Like, we didn't even mention the traveling aspect of it, like, big chunks of time you're committing to the program, may or may not be missing school given, like, weekend schedules, whether it's, like, on a Saturday upstate or, even, like, a weekday game if those happen. But what keeps you coming back to this program, I guess? What has made you, both of you, return and walk through the door for another lift, another practice? What keeps you going in this program?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say it's a whole lot of things, right? So the first would just be like my experience overall. Like I've had an amazing experience here, gotten to travel the world. Like through this team, I've had other opportunities with some select sides. So, it opens doors to other things, networking connections, things like that. But from like an on-field perspective, like I guess it's very tough because you play on Saturday, you wake up Sunday, you're like, you feel like you get hit by a truck, right? So it's like rigorous on the body, and that's like surprisingly one aspect that you kind of enjoy and it kind of keeps you in the swing of things. But I guess the recovery aspect, going to lifts, seeing your teammates show up every day, putting in the work, and really just seeing everyone work hard and trying to be an influence to these younger kids is something that you kind of take pride in and which keeps you coming back to this.
Yeah, I would say for me, I'm usually pretty busy and have a lot of things going on, but committing a lot of my time, it's really solely based on my friends that I've made on the team. when I started, I was very shy. I honestly didn't talk for probably the whole first year because it was new and I didn't know what to say. I didn't know any of the rules. So I was like, might as well just keep quiet. But I think the team has helped me find my voice just not only through, the upperclassmen that encouraged me to say the jokes that I was saying in my head out loud because maybe they weren't that terrible. But the friends that I've made that I joined with, so the girls in my grade, we really have formed such a strong unit. So it's like going every single day. Maybe the lift's going to be extra hard because, we're progressive overloading and, that's not really my thing. But maybe, practice might be extra tough, but like going knowing I'm going to, have a good time with my friends. And if it's not a great time, I'll still be with my friends. That's really what has made it all work. Like I would not trade my experience for the world. I think it's formed just such a close bond between my, group of peers and teammates. And, it's really it's a bond like no other. Like I have no experience like this in high school being on any team ever where I feel so it really does feel like a family. And it just, you can get through hard things with people that you love. So
Why club sports in general? What are the benefits of, we kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier, but the club sports still being able to be both, they use the term student athlete a lot. You're still a student and athlete, equally as much. So how are you guys, I guess, embracing the best of both worlds here at Fairfield in terms of that?
So in terms of, I guess, just embracing the student athlete label, I think rugby specifically, I know Chris mentioned networking. I think rugby just in general encourages being a student athlete, especially here. I know on the field, obviously, you're playing, so you're that athlete side. You're going to practice. You're going to lift. There's specific just expectations, like you should not be skipping anything. So you've already met that athlete side. Off the field now, I think we have a really great program that encourages students to, number one, perform highly on their own, but then also to attend extra functions that are good for, I guess, your professional development. So, we have a lot of alumni networking events or to support the team, yes, but also to meet past players that, hey, you worked at so-and-so in this field. That's so awesome. You graduated, you played rugby. Let's talk. Let's, get an internship. Let's do this. I think that's something I've really come to love about rugby. One of the biggest things that a lot of people that play will say is that everywhere you go, you'll meet someone that plays rugby. And I didn't realize that until I was working over the summer, and I'm a waitress. And a lot of the people I would talk to, I don't know, I was opening a bottle of wine. They wanted to chat. And it came out that I played rugby, and then all of a sudden they would play rugby. And now we're talking, and they're what's your email? I would love to connect further. So I just think the student athlete kind of mantra it's easily filled when, number one, you're already going to all the practices, so you're an athlete. But it's kind of easier to be a student and be a succeeding student when you have a program that's allowing you to meet these people that want to help you get further in your career. So I think rugby is unique in that way, and it's club sports-wise, I think we are kind of one of the best just in the way that we're able to help students kind of leave Fairfield with a great resume and hopefully a job.
Yeah, and you were the one who brought up, networking, Chris, and I'll let you answer that question, but I also want you to, if there is one, is there a specific networking opportunity that you've really come to appreciate and have gotten out of playing rugby here at Fairfield?
Yeah, so we have a great alumni network, so probably one of the biggest in the school. And actually, I did an internship over the winter break, and the guy who hired me for that, he was the captain of the rugby team when I was a freshman, so he was a senior. We stuck very close, kept a relationship, and he ultimately hired me for a full-time job after school too. So, my professional career ended up being from rugby as well. But on the student-athlete side, we put a very big emphasis on student first, right? So rugby's great and all, you learn so many things, but it's not going to pay the bills at the end of the day after school. So, if you need to take time off, if you need to do an assignment, a project, whatever, we're really good with allowing people to do that and, give them their free time to get things done, to focus on that student first idea. So, but yeah, the networking aspect is great. You meet so many people. You can just message somebody on LinkedIn and they'll get back to you right away with just that connection of rugby. There's not many of us out there. So when somebody reaches out and says that they play rugby, they want to help you. They want to give you advice however they can. So it's really beneficial in that aspect.
This was, and going off of that, this was a question originally for Austin Ryan, the second director of rugby at Fairfield, and got promoted full-time actually in 2019. Was here 2014, but had to step down after 1 year. I think it was due to fundraising, according to his bio. But I'm going to flip the question from your guys' perspective. What characteristics and qualities do you look for in potential teammates and which values hold priority in good teammates?
Yeah, so I would say the biggest thing that we look for on the men's side is just having a really strong work ethic. You can teach anybody skills. I'm a big, firm believer of that, but you can't teach somebody to work hard, right? So if they have that work ethic and they give 120% in everything they're doing, then, again, you can teach them anything else you want to. Not many people know all the rules about rugby when you first start out. They don't know, have all the skills down, but they're teachable, right? I learned them. Other people have learned them. So you can learn that stuff. But again, you can't teach kind of the soft skills, we call them. So that's, something we look for when we're looking for teammates.
Yeah.
I would definitely agree. I think coachability, too, is a big thing. We have great coaches, but a lot of the times, too, you have your upperclassmen trying to help out the freshmen. So having someone come in with just a good attitude, being willing to learn and say, like, you know what, I'm new here. I don't know the rules, but I'm open to anything that you tell me, and, I'm going to be receptive to that information. I think that's a huge thing, just being able to take advice, take feedback. Maybe it's constructive, maybe sometimes it's not, and you just need to hear, like, hey, I didn't do so well today. This is why I'm going to improve. I think coachability in all aspects of life is a great thing, but definitely that's something, we'll look for from different teammates. And, some people are great, some people are not. Helping them get to be better maybe at being coached and receiving advice is always a huge thing, especially as you go into the world. So, but that's definitely an aspect of a teammate that is really looked for, I would say.
Yeah, I feel like, from any athlete, like, at any level, it's the ability to adapt and, like, take feedback, constructively. And I feel like, whether it's, I'm thinking, like, recreational soccer in elementary school, like a parent or a coach, they'll be the first person to tell you what you can do better, but they'll also be the first person to cheer for you and high-five you when you go back to the sideline. And that's kind of the mantra I'm getting from Austin Ryan based off of our conversation thus far. And I work with Ethan Godfrey. Their offices are right next door. So both of you are a common source in Austin Ryan. What is his mentorship and teachings, in a sense, done for both of you guys as an athlete and as a person?
So Austin's great. He came in, I think it was, when I was a freshman, it was his second year full-time, I'm pretty sure. So we've kind of grown together. We've worked together a lot over the years. And he's just great all around. Like, he's very organized with his practice plan. If you ever need something outside of rugby, just, personal life, he's the first one to step up, reach out a hand, and give you help. So, he's very good with kind of equalizing both sides of the equation, whereas rugby and then personal life, making sure everything's okay on both sides.
I would say for the women's team, I know he's the men's head coach as well.
Yeah.
So we have a little bit more of an kind of, me and him especially, I'm the president, so we definitely work more off the field. I do a lot of administrative roles for the team, so organizing specific things or whatever it is. And I'm usually serving as the point of contact between Chelsey and then Austin, and just making sure the club sport as a whole kind of is able to function and we get where we need to go on whatever day we need to be there. So I would say Austin has been a huge resource throughout my time, just in his knowledge of kind of how the way the program works, not only through Fairfield, but just rugby in general. Like, he has so many connections around Fairfield with referees or coaches. So it's like our team, at least for me, it makes facilitating my role as a president so much easier. I feel very supported, and like, I'm very busy. So, being the president could be kind of overwhelming and you have a lot of different responsibilities. But I definitely feel that Austin has been a resource just in helping me manage that position while also helping all the other officers. The biggest thing about rugby that I love is that we're a club sport, meaning we still have students in like leadership roles. I think that's like a huge asset that maybe the varsity teams lack. I think being able to like allow students to take on these leadership positions is really great in setting them up for their future. I know, being a captain, Chris is the captain, being a president, whatever it is, you're able to take on these new roles, learn how to communicate effectively, learn how to kind of be a leader on and off the field. And I think Austin kind of helps us facilitate that in a way that's constructive, and then also helps us take those skills elsewhere. And then Austin's just been such a great resource just in terms of rugby skills. He has lots of great drills. He's very knowledgeable about the sport, and so he'll come in, he'll pop over to the women's side of the field, help us with some drills. He's great with some contact drills. We love to shy away from those because it's way more fun when you're not getting tackled. But he helps us do it in a way that's like quick. You get to the point, you learn exactly what you need to do from the specific drill and get the tackling over with. So he's been great. I mean, he wrote me a recommendation letter for the grad school, and he's awesome. So I really love working with him over these last 3 years.
You also feel like from his perspective, it's a little bit more pride given that he went to Fairfield Prep and was a graduate there in 2006. But, like, I know he's a big source of support, but both for you guys, as Chris, you were a captain and a leader on this team, and Kate, obviously president. Why pursue these leadership positions within the program?
Yeah, so I was elected captain the spring of my sophomore year. And before, like, my whole freshman year, I was like, all right, that was my goal, eventually be captain of the team. I really enjoyed it. And I wouldn't change it for the world, but it is a really tough job. Like, you're, trying to influence and control a group of 40 college kids, right? Everyone wants to do their own thing. Everyone kind of has their own opinions of stuff. So trying to get everyone on the same page is tough, but it's the most rewarding job in the world. Like, you have an influence on your teammates, and at the end of the day, like, what you say goes. So I work with Austin very closely. I think I talked to Austin like 5 times already today, just working on different things, practice plans, stuff like that. And we may not always agree on everything, but, that's what makes a team better, right? Having different ideas, different perspectives. But I just find motivating people and, trying to get, again, a group of people together to focus on one specific outcome is really something that I enjoy, and that's kind of why I wanted to pursue captain, and ultimately I got lucky and fortunate to do that.
Yeah.
I think for me, freshman year, I wouldn't have guessed I would be the president. I was very soft-spoken. I think being the president, you have to have a lot of organizational skills. I think I just managed to check those boxes. I'm really organized, and I love answering emails. So I think in that sense, I fit the bill. I also think, going into my sophomore year, I kind of realized, like, I think I would do well in that role. Just in, I think I have a good sense of my teammates and understanding, like, collectively we all want to win, but we also don't want to be miserable. Being the president is way different than being a captain. Being the captain, you're definitely in charge of more on the field and, like, skills, organizing your teammates, being a leader on the field. President is a lot of communicating with Austin as well. I answer a lot of calls from him, a lot of emails. I work with Chelsey a lot. So it's a lot more in my computer type of skills. It's like Austin always says, like, any of the officer roles you take on, it's like a part-time job. Like, you're just doing a lot of work outside of practice. But I've really loved it. I mean, it's given me skills that I know I will take beyond. I want to go to law school one day. I know I'll be answering emails the same, and hopefully I've gotten a good signature at the end of my email from doing so many at rugby things. But it's a role I wouldn't have seen myself in, but it's been really fun.
To add on to that, like, it's a fascinating to go from, captain to president. I guess, Kate, for you, how have you been able to manage, both of those roles simultaneously this season?
So I was never captain.
You were never a captain?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was the match secretary. So
Gotcha.
You kind of do a precursor. You do the match secretary first, which is basically just the president's, like, underling that does all the actual work.
Gotcha.
And then when you're the president, you're riding on the high, and you're like, I'm president, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
Now the match secretary does all my work. So last season, from my sophomore spring to my junior fall, I guess, I was the match secretary. So I did a lot of work. You do a lot of everything. You work with the referees, you contact for the buses, you organize the food. Like, you really just do all the above. And then the president gets all the glory. So now I was elected president in December, and I've really just been organizing. We're going on a trip to San Diego in May. I've been doing a lot of work to get that going, figuring out flights and getting all that booked, and then just working with I work with all the other officers, make sure the Instagram feed is regularly updated. I work with the media team. We just did a new media day shoot for everyone so the freshmen can all have pictures. So it's a lot more just like macro level tasks, but being the match secretary definitely helped. But I could never be the president, honestly. I don't have enough motivational speeches lined up for the pregame that I could never do it. So.
And Chris, I guess going off of that, how do you keep this team going, like, every game, kind of like, I want to say, championship mentality type? Like, someone's probably got a big test coming up in a week, like, midterm final, or just in that college slump if some people are. So I guess, how is you as a leader on this team, going off of kind of what Kate said, just kept everyone together?
Right, yeah. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's hard, but, when we step out there, it's all rugby. So all your other issues, you can kind of forget about them for the hour or two we're out there. As far as motivating everyone, it's really, I'm a big energy guy. I think that especially in sevens, like 50% of the battle is just bringing energy, right? Because it's a momentum game. If you can get the momentum early, you can keep it, and it's ultimately whoever has that is going to win at the end of the day. So I'm a big advocate of energy and, the pregame stuff. It's all just in the moment. It's whatever comes to mind, whatever comes to heart, and trying to motivate the guys is something that I really enjoy, and it's kind of a game because some people are known to have less energy, some people have more energy, and the guys that have less, you got to give them a little more. So it's fun in certain aspects, but it's also a little challenging sometimes. But I do enjoy it, and it's a part of the role. Like I took on that role, so it's what I have to do.
And advocating. I know both of you have kind of done that in these leadership roles, and it might very well for some of your classes and your major as like a vibe. But if I were to give you guys like an elevator pitch, what would it be for why join the rugby program here at Fairfield for both men's and women's? I'll let either one of you start.
I can start. Just, one sentence, join the rugby program to become a part of the family. Upon joining, when you're a freshman, you're not only going to meet around 12 is usually our incoming freshman class, but 12 other girls, all brand new, that are going to be open to being your friend and want to go to the Tully with you after practice. But you're also going to have 30 other people that have already been on the team and are so ready to help you navigate being a freshman. I mean, it's a crazy first year, and I think going into it, kind of having a little bit of a schedule. Yes, we do practice a lot, but having something to do that isn't like sit in your dorm and stare at your roommate that maybe you don't like that much is a really great outlet. And I think it's not only helped me be more productive, I think having something to do is really important in managing your time. I know that's a really big thing. You have all this free time coming out of high school where everything was scheduled for you. So, maintaining a little bit of that schedule is really helpful, but you're also just going to make so many great friends. So I think, come join rugby, be a part of the family. There's sport on the side of it, but you're just going to have a network of people that are ready to welcome you in.
Your turn.
Yeah. So like I said earlier, there was about 15, 20 of us in my freshman class that were recruited, and all 15 to 20 of those guys are my closest friends. They're my roommates. So, you really do stick with that group just because you're with them every day. Like I said, going to lifts, going to practice. So like Kate said, it is a family, and it's an awesome thing to join because, you really can fall back on those people if you do need anything. And then there's, obviously the rugby side. It's an awesome sport. It's a little confusing to understand at first. Like not many people really get it until they play for a while or watch it. But, the two sides of it, rugby and then personal, it's both a great combination to join the team.
I know, Kate, you mentioned you had no experience whatsoever. Like you were soccer, like club soccer, like that was your intent going through, but then rugby kind of came out of nowhere a little bit, and like this will apply to both of you. What is your message for someone who's maybe unfamiliar or uncertain? Because, rugby can be daunting. Like, the physicality of it, the confusion of it at first. Why should we not be concerned about the uncertainty and the fears? Why, take that step, if that makes sense?
Yeah. I think, it's in anything, right? So if you start a new sport while you're young, you still have that uncertainty. It's just you're so young, you don't really process that. This just happens to be later in life for most people. So, I think, and there's sports that translate really well to rugby. So I wrestled in high school, and it's known wrestlers and football players really have an easy transition into the sport. So if you're kind of in one of those sports, it'll be a little easier for you to transition. But again, there's uncertainty in everything you do, right? This just happens to be something where it's later on in your life, so you can kind of process that uncertainty a little more. But, take the risk. There's a little fear in it, but it's definitely worth it in the long run.
I would agree. I would say, like, the biggest thing is just, like, embrace the uncertainty. Embrace being uncomfortable. Like, you're not always going to be in an environment where you feel, hey, I'm totally 100% on top of this. I know what to expect. Like, you're going to go into a job interview and you're going to be overwhelmed. There's a lot of things that you're going to walk into in life that you're not always going to be ready. Yes, it's not usually going to be someone running at you and trying to take you out. But, I think it's the same life lesson. You just need to be able to find comfort in being uncomfortable. And I think that's a really big lesson that rugby's taught me. Like, I have no idea. My first year and a half, honestly, I was going to go to practice and probably do something I've never done before. But knowing, hey, I'm going to get through it because I have great teammates, I have great coaches, and I know that I'll be able to take the feedback and the rules or whatever it is that they're trying to teach me and apply it and hopefully execute. Maybe not. Maybe I need to work on it. But just being able to find, like, I guess almost just being curious is always a good thing. Like, be curious, do not be afraid, I guess. Just find comfort in knowing that you'll make it through, and, if you're a freshman looking to come out, just do it. Get a pair of cleats, get on the field, and, you're never going to make such crazy mistakes that we're going to kick you off because there's no tryouts. So,
Yeah, I think that's, an important message. Like, open door policy for everybody. And, I'll add this in the description when we upload, if you want to contact interested in the rugby program, Austin Ryan, head men's rugby coach and director of rugby program and all. For those of you on campus who are also listening and interested in the Recplex to the right of the Fieldhouse, those 4-door, their office is there. He's the first one on the right, so don't be shy to stop by him for any interest, because that door is always open no matter the time of year. So I've had a great conversation here, but I kind of want to end on a little bit of a fun segment we call Quick Hitters. Just kind of in the name, quick answers, get to know you guys a little bit better, like humanize, if that makes sense. Yeah. So go to pregame meal.
Pasta. Penny vodka.
Okay.
Yeah.
Buffalo wings.
Really?
Yeah.
Where you get the pasta from?
It depends. Sophie's really good.
It's the Sophie's train, I feel like, as of late. Is it that good?
It's pretty good, yeah.
All right, I might have to go. Buffalo wings?
Blind Rhino, always.
Fair enough. Food truck or no?
No. You gotta go to the Fieldhouse. Come on now.
Pre-game rituals or a superstition?
I'm extremely stitious. I'm not superstitious. I'm extremely stitious. I have to take off all my jewelry in an exact order every single time, or else God knows what'll happen. But I won't ever get to that point. So.
Okay.
I go to chapel before every game. It's just something I've been doing since high school. It's seemed to work, avoid injury. I don't know why, but I'm just superstitious. Yeah.
I respect the consistency there. Kind of mentioned a little bit earlier briefly. I kind of want to go more in depth though. Favorite practice play?
Play?
Yeah, or practice.
Ooh.
I know Kate has an idea, but if you want to think about it, I'll let Kate go.
I come up, I'm the scrum half, which is basically maybe a center in football, or quarterback center adjacent. So I come up with a lot of plays just in my head. So my favorite one is called SPK. It was, I don't know, salt, pepper, ketchup, big cheese. I don't know how the name came, but it's basically just off a scrum. It's a pick that'll turn into a switch behind the back. So, that's why it was behind the back, BEC, SPK. I don't know, but it's a great one.
You know better than me.
Yeah. In my head, it looks awesome. So just imagine that.
Yeah.
Mine's probably anywhere we can kick. I kick, so, I don't have to run. I kick it, let everyone else run. I kind of stay back. Saves me some energy. But, yeah, anything where we're kicking, I would say I really enjoy.
And then one more. Favorite moment in the program?
Ooh, wow. Probably when we beat Siena. We beat Siena last second on a kick to go to the nationals in our 15 season.
There you go. That's fun. That'll stick with you.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah.
Favorite moment is really hard, but I would probably say, maybe it was recent, beating Vassar. Just period. Anytime we beat Vassar is a great moment.
Is that like a unofficial rivalry?
It's not unofficial. It's official. Women's
Really?
team rival. Yes, absolutely. We beat them. We beat them now twice. So both these past 2 weekends has been awesome. Every time after the game, it's just amazing. So.
Great conversation here from Andrew Jameson, Sports Director, WF 88.5, Chris Giunta.
Yep.
There we go. And Kate Robertson. For more information, again, on the rugby information, we'll provide Austin Ryan's contact information in our description, email, and maybe even office number. I don't know yet.
Yeah,
but
send it all in there.
Yeah, no, we'll figure it out. Again, rugby. The door is always open, as are all of the club sports. So anyone from Austin Bryan, Chelsey Wright, and even Ethan Godfrey for fun, give my intramural boss a shout out there. So episode 15 of Stags' Studio. Have a great rest of your day, and go Stags.